teaching.
That's right, but there's this
teacher's
one.
teaching. Then I'm gonna say any question.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, a teacher.
Okay.
All right. So again, when you turn the system on, it's gonna be muted. This is the main sound for the system, for the main speakers. So you hit that button. If it's red, it's muted. If it's not red, it's unmuted. The band, the total band, will be turned down. We'll leave that. This is how the board will come on. Well, actually, no.
So can I, something real quick before you go any further?
Go ahead.
How do you turn the whole thing on?
There's a button at the top of this rack over here,
Mm-hmm.
all the way to the right.
Right, Doe showed it
So
to
you
me,
turn
but
it
I
on.
didn't think they knew where it was.
And actually, maybe it's set up as a default when it turns on, but I think when you turn it off, it's gonna come back on the way it was. So when you turn it off, let's make sure, because right now, if I turn the band down, right? Right now, the only things that will still be up is the vocals in the choir, because these two, what they call DCAs, are not in the band one, right?
Separate. Okay.
It's separate. So you can turn all the choir down, because once 3 mics are going, you'll be able to turn those 3 mics up and down from this level here. As well as all the vocal mics can be turned up and down by this level. So these two are not in this, but these are connected to this.
Okay.
All right. So when we bring
So
this
the
down,
choir and the vocal is
you've
not
wiped all
connected.
of this out, but but these will be up. So when you finish working, bring these down and bring your band in and hit mute. All right, because when you start up, that will be what you'll do. Just when you turn the board on, you'll turn mute off, and then you'll bring these up as needed. Pastor's mic will be the only thing that supersedes this, because he's not in this part of the board. So his mic will come on as soon as you turn off the mute button. That his mic in the announcement mic will be on. So again, these are DCAs. They control. You can program. You have a total of 32 channels, not to include the extra 8 channels of like when we plug the video up in the playback cable for the iPod or phone or whatever. Those are additional channels. But mainly you have 1 through 16. That's all here. And then 17 through 32, you push this button and you get the rest of the channels. All right, that's how you get between the 2 channels. So what the board allows you to do is take these channels and group them so they're already assigned. You don't have to worry about that, but that's how I got them over here. So I made all the drums come up on one, and this is like a master volume at that point. And then you just program from there. So you see how like when it's on 1 through 16, you see all the separate drum mics. We got a lot of drum mics. So each tom has a mic. The cymbals have a mic. The snare has a top and bottom mic. And then you have the kick drum mic. So if, like you were saying earlier, the snare is too loud. So let's say if the booth was in place and that wasn't a natural snare sound that you were hearing, you just bring the snare down. The snare has 2 mics, so you just bring them down some. Or hey, I think the kick drum needs to be turned up. I'll just turn it up a little bit. So the main thing you need to be concerned with for now is, of course, turning it on, unmuting things, and bringing levels up and down. That's the main thing to your success right now. So we won't get into EQing and reverb and all that other stuff. Leave all that alone. Let's just get to run the console. Again, you turn it on. It's going to be in this mode right here. Right? So you turn it on, you unmute the mains, you bring the vocals up, bring the choir up, bring the band up if needed. When pastor starts preaching and the choir walks away, what would you think to do? If the choir mics are all up in the last song, you could just take this and bring it down, right? Because you don't want the choir mics to still be on, pastor's up there, nobody's up there. It just causes other sound, because you'll be able to hear in those mics still. So that's called leaving them hot. You don't want to leave them hot. Just bring it down. Same thing with the lead with all the vocals. Now, so again, you have all those channels. Here's the bass. If we add anything else, they're talking about adding a some kind of percussion thing too. So that's going to come up here. I was talking to the drummer earlier. And then if a guitar player comes, of course, he's going to be here. Here's the keyboard, and it's all labeled in there. There's going to be a low organ mic. We talked about that. There's a high organ, low organ, so those will be together. And I'll tie those because right now I'll just tie these two channels. So you can do that where you, and even like the snare, we can tie those ultimately. So when you bring it up, both of them will come up. And then you had the only, I don't call it tricky, but it is a little. The keyboard and organ vocal are on this first 1 through 16 because they're plugged up down there. Everything 1 through 16 is what's plugged up down there. And then this is plugged up to the back of the board. So that's why the wireless mics, the receivers and all are under the board here. So they're plugged directly here, pastor's mic. The choir mics have wires running all the way back. So that's the reason why, because you would think, why don't we put these vocals on this page with these vocals? So that's the only thing you have to jump around on a little bit. Because if he, let's say, if somebody sings in the choir, a lead vocal in the choir, but the organist was just singing a lead song. And then the choir, then they do another song, and then somebody in the choir singing. You're gonna have to go here, and then turn that lead vocal one up.
Okay, so what if both of them singing? You got someone on the organ and in the choir.
To balance them out, you're just gonna have to go back and forth to balance them. That's all. You don't move that fast anyway. But it's like, hey, he's a little too loud to do that. I think she's gonna be, just go over there. So that's your movement between these two.
Okay.
Pastor's mic's over here. The announcements mic is over here. And the 3 choir mics are over here. Again, the good thing about the 3 choir mics is that they're master controlled over here. Try to remember to not leave mics hot. Like again, if the choir's done, the only other tricky thing, for this weekend, where the choir's using these other 3 mics, so you may want to bring them down after they finish. Once we get these fixed, then of course the choir will be shut off by that. But you still don't want to leave like the lead vocal. If this is up over here, then the lead vocal's hot. So during the service, I would be on 9 through 32 because that's where pastor's mic is, and you always want to be able to grab that. So get used to leaving it kind of there, because you won't make as many adjustments over here besides vocals for this. Because the rest of this, you probably don't need to touch that much, being as though you have it over here. So when you're finished and pastor starts, I just recommend you can just bring them down a little bit. You don't have to wipe them all the way out. They'll be fine here, but I would never leave a mic like all the way wide open.
Right.
Somebody could be walking past it like, man, what we eating for lunch? Like, you hear it. So you always want to get used to bringing them down. And ultimately, if you're comfortable, you can bring it all the way out. Sometimes I leave mics up a little bit because say you're sitting here and you're working and pastor's doing something and then the keys start playing and somebody starts singing. If it's all the way down, then of course, so this should be on a halfway wind. You kind of hear somebody singing, you're like, bring it up. That's the reason why I do that. So the only other thing, again, you go over to aux ends, that gets you to this cable right here.
Oh, there it is.
So you plug the boombox up, play your music. Or a phone, video playback will be over here, right? So once we get all that going. So again, you see all these buttons and you see all this stuff, but don't think further outside of that box. That's where you normally get in trouble. Start with, what does that do? So master the basics of, I know where the channels, don't worry about it.
Okay. They already set.
So,
Don't let it intimidate us.
right, because once you learn this and you solid, then we'll double back and can start training you on some other things that might be helpful. But for now, pastor's mic ain't on. You either got the system muted or he's down or you got him turned off somehow. But you got to know that okay, I know this is on. And I know how to go to. I know where pastor's at, and I don't see him on. Oh, pastor's and his mic is not turned on. Right? You don't have to panic and start thinking about what buttons his mic's not on. Just like I knew from them hitting,
Right,
I could see the one green light wasn't coming up. I was like, turn that mic on. Just as short. I ain't thinking of nothing else. Just turn it on. Now she'd have turned it on. So it's on. Now and be like, okay, what's going on? And that's more of a technical thing at that point because
Give him another mic.
but that ain't gonna happen.
Switch mics.
So long as, and when you turn it on, you gotta hold those mics. You don't have one up here,
Yeah,
but you
here's
gotta
one.
hold it a
The
little bit
announcement
and
mic is
let it light up. Yeah, until the light comes on. Yeah.
Man, we used to.
So don't just hit it and then don't do nothing. You gotta hold it
and then
until it
light
lights
up.
Is that
up.
announcement?
And it takes a
That's the
second. It
announcement
takes a
mic.
Does it
second to
have a
come
mute
on.
button on the mic?
We disabled that.
Okay, great.
Oh, not on this one.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna disable it because this is be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Because they'll be down there, somebody hit it, and you be like, it ain't working.
Because it's
You
always
want to control the mic.
buttons.
Right.
You always control it.
And you
So-
gotta hold it to turn it off too, right?
Yes. So just hold it and it turn off. Because if you,
All right, hand is announcement.
and it says off before it goes off.
Give a man.
So if anything's feeding back, you should have some room to turn these up. Probably another five to get it louder. But of course, if you hear any feedback, you know you got stuff too loud. It's already been tuned. So, it's hard when you hear sound talk going on. It's like, what is that? So again, so when you finish, again, bring the band down, bring the vocals down, the choir down, and hit mute. All right, so that's the main thing. So if you turn this board on and this stuff is wide open like this, then somebody didn't do their job in turning it off. And the reason why I know earlier I said when you turn it on, it's gonna be that way, but
So the vocal to choir and mute.
that's if you bring the scene up. So I'm not gonna go through that whole thing. Right? Yeah. Not right now.
You come back.
So if we turn it on and it's not turned on, what's gonna happen?
Nothing. But I mean, if somebody's down there doing something, you'll hear it immediately. I just don't like to turn stuff on.
Okay,
and
I'm just
stuff
making
is
sure
wide
it's not
open.
gonna go.
No. If something's pushed too loud, like the choir mic, you can see.
Yeah, you can hear.
Yeah.
But that's it being all the way up. So it could actually be pushed to there and be more to the edge, but it's set up to be used at 0.
Okay.
All right. So don't be scared. Like if I were to come and you had the choir down here, and you're like, I already know it can be pushed to 0. So I'll look at you and be thinking like, why you have the choir down so low? So don't overthink these. All these are set up to be at 0. Pastor can be at 0. Sure, if he's hooping and he's getting into it, and you think it's too loud, then you probably would come down around here. So, or if you think he's a little low, if he's kind of talking in the beginning, he's low, so you could bring him up maybe about 5. But I normally set the boards up to operate to where if you want more, you can push it to about 5, or if you want less, you push it down to -5. But all that stuff being all down here and all that, if I come and see it that way, then this ain't giving you much of nothing. I already know that, because you're not gonna. Low is probably here, and the same thing over here. That's why you see everything pretty.
Safe at 0.
Yeah, we operate, so you shouldn't see a whole bunch of craziness going on. You hear the piano. So I got him a little dip because of the choir, because of where we want it. But once we get the choir right, you should be able to play around with that a little bit.
The choir is sitting right now, and you still hear better than you did.
Right. So if they were up and they were singing a little strong, maybe that piano probably could be pushed a little bit. But we balanced that down a little to accommodate for the choir. So I don't know if I want to tell you this part just yet or not, but you have the video, because it is a part that you may be asked to do. So you have it on recording, but don't let it throw you off too much. Now the monitor speakers that's on the stage, the ones that are on the wall, these volumes don't affect that. These volumes only affect the house right now, right? So if somebody's on the stage, they're singing, and you're like, I need my mic turned up more. Now, he's not asking that for the house, because you're in control of the house. That's why when anybody tells you when they're on the stage, turn me up more in the house, they should never be making that call. They're on the stage. You control the congregation is up to you, and or whoever the ministry leaders. But if they're gonna make a call like that, they need to be making it from the house. You can't make a call from the stage because you're behind the speakers, right? So when he wants something, he's talking about I can't hear myself in those monitors. So those monitors are controlled by the board, but doing anything on it, like on the main page, doesn't change it. Now to change them, you have to hit sends on fader, right? When that's blinking, then you have to change this to bus. And you select, see it says stage monitor, and you select that. All right? So when you do that, all of these levels that you see now for the two is what's going to the stage monitor. It's a total different mix. All right? It's the
Don't
level.
nobody ask for that.
You could not ask for that.
Don't nobody ask for that. Would nobody do that? Not right now.
That's
So
where
just
you
know.
come in.
Right.
But just think now, it's only 3 buttons.
Right.
And you know the purpose. The purpose is I want to control the stage monitor. Right? Sends on fader, bus 1 through 8, and select. Alright? Once you do that, these levels now represent what's going to that monitor. To the stage monitors. So right now, we have some keyboard in there. We have the bass in the monitors. Just to kick a little bit, and snare a little. But if you look at the vocals, now we have all those vocal mics in there. Now do know that the choir, I'll put it in there a little bit, but the choir mics, you don't normally put them in the monitors that much because they will feed back. But we're gonna get those up as much as we can. But outside of us, once we do that, don't try to push that anymore. They'll ask, but it's just gonna feed back, right? Because they're made to pick up a wide pattern, so they end up feeding back in the monitors quicker. But for him, if he said I want more in the monitors and he's on lead vocal 1 and we're in this mode, just bring him up.
Just bring him up.
Pastor
bring
from
it
time to time asks for more on my
Yeah.
mic.
Pastor
He
does.
asked for more of his mic,
He
and then
usually will.
you would
Give
bring
him
him
more in
up.
the monitor, not in the
And
house.
we have to do it like that to bring him up more.
Yeah.
Yes. Now he's already been balanced out and he says
Right.
he's happy. But if you want it more, that's the process. So in reverse, when you leave out of this, you have to, if this button's blinking, these are representing monitors. So you don't want to forget that you're in this mode, because then you're back to mixing. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring this mic up, and you're bringing it up in the monitors and not in the house because of this being on. So to get out of it, you just hit that. Now the faders are representing what's in the house. The last thing is you want to just put this back over to these groups that you normally run.
What does that say?
Sends on fader. Sends on fader. These are faders. And this is a
I
send.
just remember the pattern.
Alright? This is a send.
2, 3.
Right. So just remember, this is a sin. So the reason you're gonna say, I want my sins to show up on the faders. And I'm gonna select this sin. Because in a bigger situation, you may have other monitors. So there's different things that you would select to be on these faders. Alright? So again, this is regular mode. Pastor says, bring me up in the monitors. You say, okay. Sends on fader, bus, stage monitor. Bring Pastor up and bring him out. Get back out, go back to DCA.
Okay, but where this is set right, bless you, thank you. Where this is set right now for him, did he test that?
Yes.
Is he satisfied
Yeah.
with that?
He said he was.
Because my question is simply that he may say, I need a little more volume. So does that mean we should bring him up in the monitor or bring him up in the house?
In the monitor.
We can hear him. We can hear him.
Not from here.
Okay,
Bring him
but
up in the
sometimes he just, I
You
need a
know,
little
stop
volume.
blinking, so we're back to the house.
Right.
Right?
So if he said bring me up a little bit, we don't bring him up from here, we gotta go there. Okay.
Because again, you're making the decision for out here. And unless somebody else, I don't know who it is here, that will walk around or be able to tell you X needs to happen in the house.
Okay.
So that's up to the ministry. But normally when I run Salford, most churches, they're like, okay, you represent the congregation, Kevin, and that's what I'm doing. I'm out here for a purpose. That's what I'm doing. And anything you want, it needs to be what you want on stage. Unless there's someone walking around that's a ministry here that's in charge that says, hey, bring it all down. Or pastor's a little too low, bring it up. And you go like, all right. But different people, congregants or usher, hey, bring up the bass. You're like, it's your job to make that decision.
You give us the okie doke.
Yeah, you be like, yeah, okay.
I'll go sit closer to
Right,
him.
because you have to get used to, everybody's gonna, I can mix this the way I like it, and we may not all agree. That doesn't make it right or wrong. You could say, I want less snare. You could say, I want some reverb. And that's all, just decisions that we're making, personal preference.
Right.
So all in all, at the end of the day, if you're in charge of that, and or if there's someone to say you're not on that weekend, or say the choir like you're out here right now. So other times a musician or a singer may be able to lean and say, hey, I think the soprano need to come up a little bit. If you feel like he's a valid person with the ministry that might be able to make a call like that, he's like, I'll bring it up, But try to get away from all that chatter on the stage talking about the house, because that's just not valid. So again, Senzo Fader, buses, stage, and now these represent at that point what's in that monitor. You know what? 17 through 32. And even for that playback, it's not in there right now. But let's say somebody came in tomorrow and say, "Oh, I'm gonna sing something, and I have a track." So now they're gonna get there and start singing. And as this is set up right now, they wouldn't be able to hear that music in those monitors. So you'd have to bring the music up in the monitor.
Okay.
But I'll leave it a little low in there. And then again, get back out. Full band. So that's that vocal I'm pushing.
Which one?
The keyboard vocal.
That's the keyboard vocal. So take that down for me.
So the great thing is, see, at that level, the drums could be in. And what's going to happen now, because you have subwoofers, it gets fuller as far as like the kick drum. But yeah, earlier when he was like pounding away, you see how like you can't really hear the definition of the drums when you bring it up. So the great thing is that once we get the drums under control, prayerfully nobody crawls under that organ and turns that speaker back up. You'll have total control of the organ. You have total control of everything.
Kevin,
So,
you hear that we're on the verge of feedback right now? You hear that? The ringing?
no, I don't have anything now.
Is it my imagination?
Y'all hear anything?
I don't hear it.
Me either.
Okay, all right.
That piano like in the monitors might be a little high. And it might even be the choir that brought those up. So I mean that's the whole. I mean again, the mission is always you being able to blend everything. That's always the mission.
To what?
For you to be able to mix/blend everything without the challenges, and that's the challenges are always the biggest problem.
Okay.
The stuff that you can't control. Like again, if his voice was so loud that he's like without a mic, he's too loud, then that's a problem at that point because you can't blend because something's out of your control.
Right.
You're like that organ was out of your control. You're like, well, the drums when he's cranking up is out of your control. So all you can do is like trying to turn everybody up loud as they are, instead it's too loud, right? So that's our mission, to get it all under control. The musicians have headphones, even like the bass player now, he doesn't have a bass amp.
I have a question about that. So how do we help out the musicians with their headphones?
Makes that fan. Okay, hear what you hear. That's a fan to these amps.
And do we have
Because if
headphones
they
up
ask
here?
for something on their headphones, if they can't hear something, how do we fix that? Or-
They
The
adjust that
musicians
down there,
won't.
don't
The
they?
musicians won't. Right now, I do have to find out why the lead vocal's not coming through their mixer. But their mixer is set up where they have the volume controls of all that stuff.
Oh, down there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Each person has their own,
Heard their own thing.
their
Okay.
own thing. Yeah.
The other question, kind of related to that, is when they have choir rehearsals, there's not necessarily going to be a multimedia person here for every choir rehearsal. So how do they deal with that situation? How does it, you know?
So
They won't use it.
without this
Like it's
on,
been.
well, if they were to turn, they have to turn the system on to hear to hear everything. I mean, to even hear the stuff in the monitors, because the piano's going to have to be in the monitor.
Okay.
Right? So as you see, when you turn this on, that's him in the monitors right now, not in the house.
Okay.
See, if I go Centone
So
fader,
when they have choir rehearsal,
so if they turn, they have to turn this on. Yes.
okay, they have to turn it on. So we need to teach Agnew how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Because
And or he can take that small speaker that he has and plug
Plug it
the
up.
keyboard to that. That might be the best thing.
I would prefer.
But you would have to plug it back up. Just make sure however he does it. Maybe this.
okay, because they sing next week, the men.
Okay.
So y'all wish you
Sing
heard
next
some
week, and I don't
microphones?
think there's none of us.
Man, you used to that.
Brandon
You
doesn't sing with
did
them, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
they
think I'd be
rehearse.
more comfortable with the choir director using the piano amp. And of course, the organ's going to be there. The Leslie's going to be there. They
Right.
got
But then
control.
they can also use the choir room and just use the piano down there to rehearse.
Most churches do. They go to the choir room to do regular.
Right.
So they don't have to
all
mess
this stuff
with
at
all
rehearsal.
Only time that
but
would
the
really
men will be up here
For rehearsal?
for rehearsal
Thursday.
on Thursday and Saturday. I'm talking next week.
Right.
Right.
So if you want to use that speaker and or show him how to turn the switch on. You turn the switch on, everything will be on for the monitors. And if they put headphones on, musicians come or whatever.
What do you guys think?
So they've always had access to this from
No.
choir
No,
rehearsal?
no,
they never
no,
did.
they never had
So-
access to this.
So for right now, I
because
think
everything
we
is
just
set up
leave it
through
alone.
here now. You know, it makes a difference because you won't be able to hear him unless this is on.
Well, baby, here
Right,
what?
right,
And
right.
or
I'm
he
saying,
has to bring
in
his
the past they didn't have it
microphones.
anyhow, so what difference it make?
Well, before it wasn't hooked up to this.
Right.
That's what we're saying. Like, if this isn't on, then that keyboard is not gonna be on. The
But they can
old
use the
system,
organ.
the old
So if they go to
system
the
had a
choir
mic
room,
to
use a
it.
piano.
They can use
Yes.
yeah, they can use the piano.
But you saying they have a monitor down there that they can plug
Okay.
into it and not have to.
But
But they
Right.
would have to
Right.
bring it.
Right.
They would have to
Plug it
bring
the old
it
amp. Yeah.
Right.
Bring the
because
old
it's
amp.
not
The
permanently
old
down
way.
there.
But they
Right.
can use the organ, correct?
The
Oh, yeah,
organ
the
will
organ's
be-
fine.
Yeah.
organ will be-
So
But,
let me use the organ.
we're not leaving the microphones down there. So,
Yeah, no,
No,
so
No.
I think we go back to the old way.
Right.
They connect
The way
to
it's
the
been.
amps.
Yeah.
But they will have to bring the amp. And also, does the whole band come?
Does the band come
No,
for everyone?
it's usually just the musician, maybe the drummer. The drummer
Yeah.
will come.
Right, the
Drummer's
drummer
fine.
and
But not the
whoever's
bass
on the
player.
on the board, the keyboard.
The musician and the drummer. The bass player won't be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he will have to bring that speaker every time. Just know
Okay.
that.
Well, the speaker just stay there. You just stay there.
Okay.
Right.
And then we plug it from the speaker to the system, and you can show us how to do that.
Okay.
They know how to do it. They've been doing it.
Or they go